The story unfolds in 1830, deep within the misty Hudson Valley of New York. Our protagonist, Augustus Landor, is a retired detective living a quiet, desolate life. Once celebrated for his unmatched investigative brilliance, he now spends most of his days alone, drinking in silence, haunted by loss. His wife died of illness years ago, and his daughter has been missing for months without a trace. One cold morning, while resting by the riverbank, Landor is approached by Captain Hitchcock, a stern military officer. Hitchcock informs him that his commanding officer urgently requests his presence. Initially reluctant to leave the solitude of his home, Landor resists, until Hitchcock insists that the matter is of the utmost importance. Reluctantly, Landor agrees. As they travel together, Hitchcock speaks with admiration about Landor's past. Once regarded as one of the finest detectives in the nation, Landor maintained a flawless record, solving every case, even the most complex mysteries in Gotham City. Their carriage finally arrives at the United States Military Academy, where they proceed directly to the superintendent's office. The superintendent greets Landor with familiarity and sympathy, acknowledging the tragic losses he has endured. After a moment of condolence, the tone turns grave. A soldier has been found dead. Cadet Fry, a young man from Kentucky, known for his fondness for chicken. Though at first it appears to be a straightforward murder, the gruesome discovery that Fry's heart was removed post-mortem suggests something far more sinister. The superintendent tasks Landor with uncovering the truth, to find the person responsible and bring them to justice. Accepting the assignment with quiet determination, Landor sets out to begin his investigation, stepping once again into the dark world of secrets, deceit, and death. Along with Hitchcock, Landor visits the morgue and meets Dr. Daniel, who conducted the autopsy. The doctor insists he found nothing unusual, but during a quick inspection, Landor notices a bruise on the back of Fry's head and a torn piece of paper clutched in his hand. This leads him to conclude that Fry was murdered deliberately, not involved in his own death. Landor tries to decode the fragment, but the few words written on it reveal nothing. Before leaving, Hitchcock warns him to keep the investigation strictly confidential. Later, Landor visits the site where Fry's body was discovered. While examining the area, a cadet named Edgar Allan Poe approaches and suggests that the killer must be a poet, claiming he knows how a poet's mind works and how one could extract a heart. Landor dismisses the theory, but Poe provides another lead. Fry had a heated argument with his roommates days before his death. In the next scene, Landor interrogates several cadets with Hitchcock's permission, yet none offer useful information. Soon after, an officer arrives with urgent news. A cow and a sheep have been found slain in the same way, strangled and their hearts removed. The killer seems to be sending a warning, but instead of backing down, Landor grows even more determined. He turns to Poe for help in deciphering the paper. That night, Poe visits Landor again and reports that while he couldn't reconstruct the full message, the final line appears to be an invitation. Together, they deduce it was likely written by a woman, as Fry would have no reason to meet a man late at night. Poe then recalls seeing a beautiful woman near the academy on the night of the crime. The next morning, Landor summons Poe to an abandoned ice house by Lake Courage. There, Poe finds him studying an old cabin marked with a circle inside a triangle on the floor, evidence of a ritual. Poe believes Fry's heart was placed there for black magic. The cabin turns out to belong to Dr. Daniel's son, Artemis, immediately making him a prime suspect. To confirm, they consult John, an expert in the occult, who reveals that the markings signify a satanic ritual for immortality, one requiring the heart of an unbaptized child and a man who died by hanging. Hearing this, Landor instructs Poe to befriend Artemis and gather more information. The cadet agrees and soon forms an unlikely friendship with him. One night, Edgar joins Artemis and his friends at a bar. During their conversation, he learns that Fry had been romantically involved with Leah, Artemis's sister, a strikingly beautiful young woman. Many suspect Fry's death may have been a crime of passion after being rejected by her. In another moment, Landor experiences a haunting vision of his missing daughter, leaving him shaken and anxious. The trauma still lingers deeply. The next morning, Fry's funeral is held. As Landor pays his respects, the cadet's grieving mother approaches and hands him Fry's diary, asking him to use it to uncover the truth. She explains that the diary is written in code, one she has never been able to decipher. Later, Landor visits Dr. Daniel and his wife, Y, who vows she won't rest until the killer is found. During their talk, she asks about Landor's wife, and he quietly replies that she died 2 years ago. Y's expression reveals a hidden concern she chooses not to share. Meanwhile, Poe visits Artemis's home, hoping to gather more details, but is captivated when he hears Leah playing the piano. Drawn by her talent and grace, he strikes up a conversation, and a subtle connection forms between them. Before leaving, Edgar invites her to meet again the next evening. She agrees without hesitation. That night, they meet in a cemetery under the pale moonlight. During their intimate talk, Edgar confesses his admiration for Leah, but she suddenly collapses in a violent seizure. He rushes to her side until she recovers, then escorts her safely home. Elsewhere, Landor examines Fry's coded diary, tearing out pages and gathering crucial clues. But late that night, Ballinger, one of Artemis's friends, is attacked from behind. Landor arrives just in time to save him. The next day, Ballinger's body is found hanging in the forest, his heart brutally removed. However, Dr. Daniel's new examination reveals a startling difference. The incision is rough and imprecise, unlike Fry's, suggesting a different killer. The discovery infuriates the Academy's superiors, who pressure Landor to solve the case immediately. They demand that he interrogate Edgar Allan Poe, considered the most intelligent yet most mysterious cadet. When Landor objects, Hitchcock reveals that Poe had recent quarrels with both Fry and Ballinger, a revelation that shocks the detective, who had no idea about these disputes. Landor confronts Edgar, demanding an explanation. Poe admits he quarreled with Fry and Ballinger because they mocked his appearance and peculiar habits, but insists he's innocent. With dry humor, he adds that if he wanted to kill everyone who harassed him, no cadets would be left at the academy. One evening, both are invited to Dr. Daniel's home for dinner. During the meal, Landor notices Y acting tense and uneasy, as if concealing something serious. Later in private, he asks Daniel if something is wrong with Leah. The doctor reluctantly confesses that she suffers from a rare, incurable disorder that causes violent seizures. Their conversation is cut short when Hitchcock bursts in, announcing that another cadet, Stoddard, has gone missing. Alarmed, Landor inspects the boy's quarters, but finds nothing suspicious. He begins to suspect that Stoddard was entangled in secret dealings with Fry and Ballinger, and may now be hiding or on the run. Determined to learn more, Landor visits his old friend John, the occult expert. When he asks about a witch hunter, John shows him a photograph and reveals that this same man authored a forbidden book detailing rituals for achieving immortality. Suddenly, Landor recalls seeing the man's portrait inside Daniel's home and rushes there at once. Meanwhile, inside the house, Leah and Artemis have captured Edgar and are preparing to perform the same dark ritual that claimed Fry's life, the extraction of his heart. Landor arrives and confronts Dr. Daniel, demanding the truth about Leah's illness and the witch hunter's influence. Overcome with guilt, Daniel confesses. Unable to cure his daughter, he turned to black magic, believing it could keep her alive. He admits that his wife, his son, and Leah were all part of the ritual. At that moment, the family prepares to sacrifice Edgar. Horrified, Landor races to the old cabin, arriving just as Leah and Artemis are about to cut Poe's heart out. In her madness, Leah drenches the room in oil and sets it ablaze. Artemis attacks Landor to finish the ritual, but during the struggle, a wooden stake pierces his skull, knocking him unconscious. Leah tries to save him, but the two become trapped in the inferno. Before the structure collapses, Landor rescues Y and Edgar, escaping as the cabin burns to ashes. The next day, Edgar lies recovering in the Academy Hospital. The senior officer congratulates him for his bravery, declaring the case closed. Hitchcock thanks Landor, apologizing for his earlier suspicions. It seems the nightmare is over, but the story isn't finished yet. A few weeks later, fully recovered, Edgar visits Landor at his home, only to uncover a terrifying truth. Comparing the handwriting from the torn note in Fry's hand with one of Landor's own letters, he realizes they match perfectly. The discovery confirms what he feared. Landor himself was behind the cadet murders. Edgar quietly reveals that a woman at a tavern helped him piece it all together. She also tells him she knows more about the story of Landor's daughter, Matilda. Confronted with the truth at last, Landor breaks down and confesses everything. 2 years earlier, after attending her first ball, Matilda was walking home alone when Fry, Bollinger, and several others assaulted her. She survived the attack, but the trauma consumed her. In despair, she threw herself from a cliff. Landor witnessed it, tried to save her, but failed. Unable to face the truth, he told everyone she had simply run away. Haunted by grief and rage, Landor vowed revenge. He lured Fry to an isolated spot and murdered him, disguising it as a crime of passion. Soon after, Leah and Artemis stole Fry's heart to complete their ritual, a coincidence Landor used to his advantage. Later, he killed Ballinger, altering the wounds to make it seem the act was done by someone else, discrediting the ritualists in the process. When Dr. Daniel examined the bodies, he noticed the incisions differed, confirming that two killers were at work. Landor believed Stoddard escaped in fear and would live the rest of his life haunted by guilt. He joined the official investigation not to find the murderer, but to hide his own guilt and uncover who had taken Fry's heart. In the final confrontation, Landor tells Edgar he may turn him in if he wishes, but Poe refuses. He argues that, given what happened to Matilda, Landor's actions, though terrible, were understandable. Men like Fry and Bollinger, he says, didn't deserve any better. With quiet resolve, Poe burns the notes and destroys all evidence that could incriminate Landor. Before leaving, he tells him he cherishes the bond they shared and never thought he'd come to know a man like Batman. The story closes with Landor standing at the cliff where his daughter ended her life. As the wind howls across the valley, he whispers softly, "Rest, my love." Vengeance born of pain, he reflects, can turn even the righteous into an executioner and prolong the tragedy it was meant to end.